Hello and welcome to vlog number 42. This week's been an odd week. I've spent quite a lot of time working on the Battle Games of Earth build when I've got a chance, but I've also done quite a few videos which aren't going to actually appear in this one because they're unboxings or new equipment, so there has been quite a lot of stuff going on, but not quite so much on the bench. However, I have got a few bits done. I've progressed some older builds, including one of my MDF kits from Sarissa, which is really cool. I'd forgotten about it and then I found it and thought, you know what, I'm going to get this done. So there is a little bit for you to enjoy. If you are enjoying this content and are not yet subscribed, please do consider subscribing, and also don't forget to ding the bell and select all, so that when one of my videos goes live, which is currently 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, YouTube will tell you. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now and I will go back to earlier in the week and I'll see you at the end. First of all, let me apologise for the knocking. We have the builders back finally after weeks off, and they are working in the room directly below room 13. So yeah, that's what I've got all day, and probably for the next week at least, until they finish. So to go on from the end of the last vlog, where I showed you what I'd done in the painting room downstairs, this is now room 13. As you can see, what I've done is I've removed all of my paints. They used to be over here, just on the right, and I've cleared this up a lot. It's given me a lot more space to work on big projects. I might even end up moving everything that's currently at the back of the bench there somewhere else. It's still a work in progress a little bit, but it's certainly a huge improvement over it was, and I'm really pleased. And I also hoovered the floor and made it all lovely and clean, as you can see, and it's just so much nicer to even be in. It's the beginning of the day here. I'm working at my desk, as you can see, lots of software stuff going on there. I just thought I'd do a very quick clip just to show that how it is at the moment. So yeah, it's been a good weekend after the horrors of the data loss, and I'm just doing this has really reset everything, and I'm feeling a lot more positive about it all, which is really good. So I'm going to be able to now get back to my hobbying, do a lot more painting, and back to my terrain building after a few days off, and I'll be able to do that in comfort and in style. It's a few days later than I expected to look at this after the terrible hard drive crash that I had last week, which will date when I'm filming this if you're not watching it on the vlog. But anyway, as you can see back here, the extra foam has reinforced that certainly enough, and when I put all the rest of the building, so it'll have like all sorts of extra layers on it, that will be really strong. Someone suggested very usefully in the vlog that I use a skewer. However, it's only very thin foam, so that probably wouldn't have worked very well for this, but it is something I would normally do, is use cocktail sticks or something for rigidity and structural integrity, but that wasn't possible in this case. What I've also done is printed out the image that I found of the door, as you can see, and I've printed it out 6 centimeters wide, and that's how wide this door is going to be when it's on diorama, and it looks absolutely perfect. I'm very pleased with it indeed. I don't happen to have my Gandalf up with me anymore because I've done a bit of tidying, but yeah, trust me, it looks really good with the Gandalf in front of it. So now what I'm going to be doing, 2 tasks I've got to do now. First of all, I'm just going to clean up the overspill from the gator glue, which is going to get in the way, and then I'm going to print another couple of these because that worked quite nicely. I've got to work out how I'm going to actually go about doing this, and I've got a couple of ideas that have come to me, and maybe more will come to me while I'm actually doing the work, but if that's the case, then I will just bring you along for all of them. But one of the ideas is that I get some of this blue foam and I stick this to it and then draw through it with a very sharp knife or with a sculpting tool. Another one is using air drying clay in the same way, so put this over the top, make it an air drying clay. Ultimately, I am certainly not competent to do that, and I don't know even if I'm going to be able to do my ideas, because if you see, you've got this amazing writing. So it might even be that I print it out onto a transparency, but I'll need to buy printable transparencies for that, and just stick that on, because behind it is going to be my glow-in-the-dark paint, and so I'm not going to be able to paint that over the top of this because it will just obscure it. It's very opaque, the glow-in-the-dark paint. So there's a couple of options, a couple of ideas which I'm going to be cracking through, but first of all I'm going to get a sharp knife and just clear up all this overspill, and then I'm going to start working on this. Once I've got that and I know what the material is going to be that I'm going to use for it, I can then do the rest of the scenicking and then start to think about the water. But the most important thing is that. The most important thing is getting that right, because that is the key element of this scene. Welcome to my painting room. It's the first time I've actually sat down here in anger. As you can see, I've got some better lights up than the last time I showed you. And while I am quite tired, it's been a really long day today, I do want to get something done, and I thought I'd come down here and potentially make use of the airbrush, which is just a shot down here, or maybe work on the display of my paints. I've got some lights to fit above the paint racks, so I might do that. Either way, I'll show you what I've done, and at the end of the night, I'm not going to film too much. I'm still operating on very cut down storage, so my clips are short. So I will crack on, have a good evening, and I'll show you what I've done at the end of the night. So that went okay. I managed to get one miniature primed, which is actually all I was aiming for, and I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. However, one of the issues is that I experienced, one of my biggest fears really, is that the primer started to not come out, or not come out very easily, and I was having to go in very short, very strong bursts to get any paint coming onto the miniature. And then when I went to clean it, I normally run cleaner through from the right through using the air, and it just wasn't going through. So I took it apart, which I always do anyway, and found that it was pretty badly clogged. Now, talking to my friend Andrew, he says that I really shouldn't have used the flow improver. That's it, the flow improver. It's up on the shelf there. Rather, I should have used thinner when I was doing the primer, which was my mistake, because I put a couple of drops of flow improver in, and yeah, so it was nice. I was really pleased to get the airbrush out and actually use it again for the first time for ages. I wasn't feeling confident enough to run the camera and show me using it. However, that's the first time I've actually used the airbrush without running the camera. And yeah, I'll probably try and get back down here again very soon, do a little bit more, get a bit more comfortable with it, and run another video of for the series on the airbrush. But yeah, that was good. At least I've done something, and now I can go on to putting some proper paint on this, and then myself and Angela can have another game, which it's been about 6 months since our first one. So yeah, it's been a long time. We need to get that done. So anyway, pretty tired now, long day, got an early start tomorrow, so I'm going to wrap it up. But it's really nice to have got down into my painting area and actually done something. It's time for an experiment, and I'm quite excited about this. So the bright aqua glow-in-the-dark paint arrived, which arrived really quickly. I was very, very pleased, and I have had a little bit of a play with it, just shining a black torch on it in the actual pot. However, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a bit of a try and see just what it looks like when I paint it directly with white paper, and then charge it up with some black light. So you can see that I haven't opened this yet, because I'm going to peel the wrapper off. There we are. And I will now apply that over the top. Give it a stir. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I've got myself a cocktail stick so I can stir it. Yeah, that's very thick. Look at that. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to apply that on this paper. The two things that I want to see are, first of all, just how opaque it is, how much it covers up the black, and secondly, if when I paint it on so that it doesn't cover up the black too much, how well it glows. Because the simplest solution for the problem I've got is to print this out on paper and stick it on and paint it for colour and what have you. So potentially like this. The second simplest is to find a transparency and make the rock, paint the glow paint on, and then after that stick the transparency over the top. And I am going to be trying to find some transparencies that I can paint onto, or I might even find someone who will be able to paint it for me. But the first impressions of this is I am painting this on quite thickly, as you can see, and it is actually still maintaining the visibility of the ink underneath. So if I can potentially get this to work, problem is, like I say, is the colour of the rock. It needs to be rock type face here. So sticking a transparency over the top of some rock that I've painted in my usual rock way will look much more realistic. However, this is all an experiment, and that's why I'm showing this to you, so you can see the steps that I'm going through for this build. So it says it will take between half an hour and 3 hours to dry. And it also says that it's a good way of teaching kids how to wash their hands, because you wash your hands, you think you got it off, you go to bed and you'll notice that your hands are glowing. So there we are, we'll find out if that's the case. There we are, so I've painted that over the entirety of the shape. There we are, good. Scrape the unused back into the pot because I am that tight. And then close the pot over carefully. Good. There we are. So what I'll do is I'll leave that to dry and see how opaque it dries. But what I'm also going to do now, before it's dried, because I can do it right away, is I'm going to grab the blacklight torch. I'm going to shine the blacklight torch on it, and I'm going to turn all the lights off. And I'm going to let you join me for this. So I will gather that all together, wash this brush first of all, and I'll be back very shortly. Here we are then. I have my blacklight torch, and I am going to shine that on this just for a few seconds, as you can see. So just wait for that to get to 20 seconds on the clip. There we are. And what I'm now going to do is reach over and turn this light off, and let's see what happens. Oh, look at that! It works! That is seriously cool. So if I now put this to black light again and charge it a little bit more, maybe until we get to the minute mark on the clip. That is amazing. Isn't that amazing? That is amazing. So just another 10 seconds or so, and then we will turn the torch off and watch that glow effect again. It says it can last for 24 hours. If you charge it up fully, I can tell you what, that is stunning. That is beautiful. So there we are. So I'm pleased about that as an experiment. I will now have to find out whether I can get a different media to print onto. I'll see how opaque that dries, and I'm sure I'll bring you along for that when I get to that. I have two very quick processes to do on this, which I'm going to grab while I've got 5 minutes. First of all, I'm going to get my Hoover vacuum, and I'm going to vacuum up all of the spilt over stuff which is on this area here, which I don't want it, just to keep it clean. And then I'm going to paint the terrain glue all over the top of everything again, just to give it one more seal, which won't take very long, but will just mean that this slightly loose flock will be absolutely secured in place. And then what I can do is I can then start to work on the interior here, which is the last process, because I'm happy with how the rest of the table of this is looking. I'm very pleased with it at the moment. So yeah, so I'm just going to grab the Hoover out and then paint some glue. I will oh, and there is one other thing actually. I need to put the static grass on, so that is another thing. There's some static grass to go on either side and down the centre of the track, and potentially in a few places as well. So I need to continue that process of static grassing, but with a longer dead static grass than I used here. Anyway, I will get that done. The static grass I'll definitely invite you along for that process to show you how we do it. I have put a coat of PVA over this side, as you can see. I have not done the other side because I have not very much time, but at least that's done. I'll let that to dry. That will probably take 24 hours to dry properly, and will dry clear. It looks horrendous right now, but if you do this, do not worry, it will dry okay. Just let it dry properly, don't panic. And also I've hoovered over on there, so that is nice and clean. And as you see, I've not yet done that side, which I'll do probably, don't know when, maybe over the weekend if I get time. But we do have guests this weekend, so my hobby time is going to be very limited. It has quite literally been weeks and weeks since I've even looked at this miniature and this model, but it's so close to finishing, and I was just doing some tidying and I thought, you know what, I'm going to grab it and I'm just going to do the last few bits. So we are up to the stage of gluing on the undercarriage, which is here as you can see, and then putting the slide on. So I created, the last time I worked on this, I created the wheels. You can see here, they're looking very nice. And what we now have are the two supports, which is glue the wheel panels to the undercarriage frame, glue the card type rim to the wheel, and then it says glue the wing support, which is that. And then it says glue the wing support struts wide to the wings and fuselage, and then glue the undercarriage assembly to the fuselage. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these out, glue them in place, and then I'm going to be able to start to paint and create my diorama, which is going to be really nice. It's good to get projects finished that have been hanging around, mainly because I forgot. I moved it into a different room when I did a tidy. And then it just sat there. Funnily, actually sat on the pool table for all that time, which goes to show you just how much I play pool. So we have our struts, we have our glider, and here you can see that no, the other way around, that goes like, which way around is it? It is like that. This is a bit odd. I'm going to have a little bit of a look and I will bob back when I've worked it out. I have worked it out and it is actually rather obvious. We have a little knock here, and what happens is, if I can do this without getting my hands in the way, is that goes there, and the little notch here goes into the side of the aeroplane. So what we're going to need to do is get a little bit of PVA, put it onto my plate just out of shot. I have my little brush, and we will dab a little bit of PVA there, a little bit there, and some on there, and then it slots in. Apologies for the fingers, but it slots in kind of like that. There we are. Perfect. So you can see there that is how that fits. So let's do the other side now. There we are. And last but not least, this then sits here in those little holes that you can see just there. So what we'll do is we'll put a little bit of PVA. There we are. Oopa! Press that a bit hard, didn't break anything. There we are, good, so that's that. So we now have the wing spar struts, easy for me to say, and we have the wheels in place, and the last thing is a bit of cardboard, which is on this sprue here, and this is the undercarriage skid. Shape the card under skid and glue in place. Pass the panel through the undercarriage frame, glue the front tip to the glider nose. So we will cut this out using our X-Acto, and then I believe what then happens, let's just move that out of the way, is this goes through the undercarriage as it says and goes over those little kind of notches there to be glued in like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some PVA in place, and then we're done on this build. Ridiculous really that I sat on this without looking at it for such a long time when you consider just how close I was, but like I say, I clean forgot that it existed. So focusing on the other one, I didn't do it. So we'll pop that through and press that in place over those little tabs, and that is the skid done, and that is the DFS, what is it? Forget the name of it. The German glider. DSF230. So when that's dried, I will go away and I will bring you along and we will paint it. So I'm going to leave that upside down like that so that it dries nicely, and I'm very pleased to have got that done. Didn't take me long, about less than 10 minutes in total. So yeah, good stuff. That'll look really nice when it's completely finished. Well, there you are. That's the short and sweet vlog. I did leave it open whether I was going to get some hobbying done today, which is Saturday, because I edited it last night on Friday evening, and that didn't, so that's it. I'm going to wrap that up there. A nice little variety of projects, and it sets me up to get quite a lot done next week and get a few things finished off, which is quite good. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do comment. I'd love to hear from you, and as I say, please do also subscribe if you haven't yet. It's wonderful to see those numbers rising, and as always, I will sign off by saying please stay healthy, stay safe and stay well.